You're listening to your favorite podcast about Flesh and Blood and its community. Welcome to Last Ditch Effort.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Last Ditch Effort. I'm joined here by my co-host, Ralph.
Hello, I'm back again.
Yes, back for the field report. I'm Maurice, and let's jump right into it. Patrick can't join us today because he's late. We're recording this on the Thursday after the Swiss National Championship. How did your national championship go off? How was Swiss Nats?
Oh, I had an amazing weekend. We started at the draft training camp, just to give an overview, which we do every year at Bashti's place. It's the best Flesh and Blood weekend you can have in Switzerland because it's just amazing meeting all friends, hanging out, testing CC, and then actually play the tournament fully prepared.
Yeah, I don't think I've played this much Flesh and Blood in ever, like in such a short time span. But even though I felt like I already knew a lot about the deck I played in these 2 days of preparation, I think I learned so much more about how I have to play the matchups and what the sideboard tech is for this specific meta.
Oh yeah, but first off, huge congrats to Michael winning the Swiss Nationals.
Another one of our draft camp attendees went absolutely crazy in top 8. I think he beat both his opponents pretty handily until the final. The final was very close between him and Marco Laurio, also a Vinti attendee.
Yeah, we're like 5 locals, 5 from the training camp.
Once again, Vinti, Gleis, 9¾ Armory showing up to take almost everything at Nets.
Can start a training with Prism, which is quite a complicated deck with a lot of decisions trees you have to go through. But you can just like absolutely roll people with your tomes of Divinity, I guess.
Yeah,
these are the light tomes.
No matter what deck, you like to hero tomes.
Yeah, tomes, like, even like with Dash IO, 3 tomes of Fendel, just card draw. Card draw is the jam. I love card draw. It makes everything so much more interesting. And yeah, just having these tomes in the deck. And then when I started testing, I felt fine into Zen, was really good into Nu. Yeah, the only problem is Guardians with Scabbies, and we get to that later.
Yeah, it's being brutes.
Yeah, being not Guardians, Brutes, of course. So yeah, like starting the nationals, first 2 rounds were both into Wario, both exactly the same decks, both Doris on Dawnblade, and was like the first game is the first match I ever looped anybody with Arclight Sentinel, which was fun for me, not so for him.
Yeah, it's a tough combo.
Yeah, but usually I always play into that direction if I play with Vestige of Soul. And yeah, won both of them. Third game was against Riptide, won that one as well. Then we head into draft. I usually just force blue Mystic cards. That's my jam. I just love them.
Big favorite archetype in this format. Just pick up blues.
Yeah, in training sessions, like, we were at the same table and we were like, oh, we can't play at the same table. Yeah. We have both the same strategy, and if both do it, still fine, because you're gonna decide on a hero anyway. Then maybe one ends up in Enigma, the other one in Nu, or even in Zen. And what happened for me, I ended up in Zen because the table just didn't want to play Zen, which was what happened always at our drafts at home as well.
Yeah.
Or in the training camp, which is kind of weird.
Which is very weird.
Yeah.
I feel like Zen is extremely strong. But I actually also took advantage of the same thing. We had 4 Enigmas at our table, and we were only 3 Zens, but they were very good. There were 2 Zen Majestics that were both very good. Were at the table, and so I think both Zen decks went 2-1, and there was one Nu at the table who went 3-0. Yeah, but still both Zen decks performed well. So I feel like Zen is definitely, or seemed a little underdrafted at the event as a whole.
Definitely, yeah. So for me, it was 3-0 draft. Then I played 2 more rounds. Zen and then an Enigma. That game I didn't like it, like from my side as well. I did so many mistakes and had judge calls and everything, and the board state was just a mess. But I ended up winning that one as well. And then the last game against Marco, first brute on Levaya, super aggressive Levaya, and he just maxed me. But that was my first loss, so I'm happy going into top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about your run?
So my run, I played Dash, like OG Dash, and I was very happy with the deck choice. I felt very prepared into like almost all of the decks in the meta, and I figured, well, as long as I can dodge Nu, which was my only matchup that I was worried about, I hadn't tested it that much, and it seemed like not such a good matchup for me. And then round 1, I get paired into Prism, which I felt like was a good matchup, but I lost it anyways due to a little bit of sloppy play on my side, because I remembered when we were testing and your Prism build did not have Command and Conquer.
Nope.
And his build did have Command and Conquer, so that was pretty bad for me. I think if I tested like the matchup a little more, maybe I would have played that better. So I started out on a loss, but then won against Riptide. I won against Azalea, then Riptide, which are both
That's nice, yeah.
tough matchups, but I prepped a lot into them over Kevin and a little bit with Christian and Azalea. So that was nice. Then heading into draft, I drafted Zen pretty much from pick 1. I just started with my usual strategy of picking good red Zen cards, and they kind of just didn't stop.
Okay, what was your first pick then?
Red Untames into the one that's 3 go again and make a tiger in hand if you pitch a blue. I can't remember. I had like 4 of those and all in red. And I got a Tooth and Claw sometime pack 2. Like I think it was a good deck. Stefan was sitting on the right next to me, was also in Zen, which was like a little bit unfortunate. But the other Zen was sitting on the other side of the table, so we still got okay decks, I think. Weird draft pot, but it went well for me. I won the mirror against the other Zen due to some lucky draws and maybe some sloppy play on his side. I think I would have otherwise lost that game. Then the second game I played against Bashi, who played Enigma. And even though there were 4 Enigmas at the table, he had one of the most cracked Enigmas. He was super, super close. I just was able to put the pressure on him enough. But his deck actually was interesting because it didn't really try to keep boards that much. It was more just kind of like play your ward attacks, like play ward, attack, use the fact that they also ward on the backswing, and then just play tempo with the 0-4-6 if you talk a card. He played that twice, and because you're playing against Enigma, you can't really block, right? No. Because you want to keep the pressure, so that's 12 damage that you just eat.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was on 2 and he was on like 14, and I was like, oh shit, this might be a very close game. And it was a very close game in the end, but I was able to close it out very, very luckily. So at that point, I was 4-1, playing again against Oli Gehring, who was the only new at our draft table.
You won against...
I won against Bashi. Yeah. I won against Bashi. And then I played Oli Gehring again, who I already lost to in round 1. He was the Prism on the other side, and he beat me again in the draft portion of New.
He just farms you this turn.
His deck was insane. He was the only New at the table. He just played like red double trouble with a red pump. Next turn, red double trouble with a red pump, and then I was in the back foot from basically turn 1.
What's your strat if you're playing Sen and you're facing a Nu? Let's say it's not the only Nu at the table. Let's say it's a mediocre Nu with like 2 or 3 Nus at the table. Would you go first or go second as a Nu?
I think it's very interesting because it can kind of go both ways. The thing that I found is if Nu goes first, you should definitely overblock the first attack. If they don't have go again on the attack, I would just throw 2 cards in front of it. If you have 2 3-blocks, for example. To me, I feel like going second is better because you want the tempo. It's at the end of the day, it's just a race. I don't think they can fatigue you really.
Yeah.
You have just too much like ways to get.
Yeah, from then on, it's just gonna be like no blocks if you can.
Yeah.
If you basically can play your full hands with on a good rate.
Yeah, exactly. And I think your Zen deck is much more efficient than their new deck, just on a base level. Because even if they play like a 0 for 3 in red and they play like a pump on it, they still like use 2 resources to just attack you for 1.
No.
So it's kind of a 3-card 9, which is not super on rate, even if it is a double trouble, right?
Yeah.
Or 3-card 10, which is like slightly above rate. But Zen just puts out, so much more damage. So I think it's you just want to race.
Do the same thing, but I choose the opposite side where I'll be like, I go first, so I can't get blown out turn 0. Because just once it happened to me, he attacks with like the stealth card, which says banish attack actions.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have, was it you? I have only 2 block attack actions in my hand.
Yeah.
Every time I block, I'm going to give him a life. And then he's going to go over anyway. And you start at like 22 life. And because of the reactions, I start at 16. And that's not a good turn 0. So from then on, I was just like, even if I go first, my hand's going to be just more efficient.
Yeah.
And from then on, I can even maybe do some damage. I always said I had that Maul in the draft, which was amazing. Such a trick card.
I think it's both are legit. Like, I don't think you take a huge advantage or a huge disadvantage by going first or going second. It depends like a little bit on your deck. I feel like if you have a lot of 3 blocks, you kind of maybe want to go second. A lot of the combo cards block 3. Yeah, because even if he starts the game on 22, that's kind of okay, because I feel like you just usually do enough damage.
Usually. All right. So you are...
So I'm 4 and 2 coming out of the draft.
Yeah.
And then from then on, I basically need to win everything, because I had a round 1 loss. So whatever tiebreakers were going to be, like 6 and 3 were going to be the ones that Bowling are out. And I was not going to be in there. And then next round I played Michael, who was also in Dash, and we had a super close game, but he ended up winning. It was like super cool because we actually had to talk about if you start Chamber or you start Pounder, and he was still opinion like, oh, you should start Chamber, and I was opinion, no, you should start Pounder.
You're more the Pounder main.
Yeah, and he ended up winning, so I guess he was right. But maybe we actually ended up coming to the conclusion that it might be correct to start Chamber if you go first and Pounder if you go second.
It depends on
and we actually did. It did line up this way. It was super close either way. Like neither of us played a max V actually, which I think is kind of crazy. Like we always disrupted each other with. So I lose that one, and then.
So you could have been Swiss champion if you just won against me.
Yeah.
But I guess he deserved it.
Exactly. And then I play 2 news back to back. One of them I lose and the other one I win. My loss I was just played very, very unconcentrated as well, because I knew it was kind of over. But I was tired and like I played very sloppily.
So you ended up what
so
place?
I ended up 5 and 4, and I was placed 20.
Okay.
In the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere. And I think there were 2 people who made it on 6 and 3. So even if I would have won, I probably wouldn't have made it. But I think it was still a good event. I thought it was super.
Yeah, it was sold out.
Organized.
With more people than last year. And maybe next year it's gonna be not open anymore, so you actually have to qualify.
I think it would be maybe a little bit too tough to get enough people to make qualifying only. Because I think there were how many people were qualified? 25, 30, something like that.
Okay.
This year.
Okay, so like
about half of the people...
if the rest doesn't play competitive games where they get rating and then they don't qualify, or like they are below 1,500 or something like that.
It's just if they only invite the top like X players plus plus the people that win the Roads to Nationals. Maybe we'll see. It definitely would be interesting. The thing is, I don't think there's enough Road to National events for them to really make it invite only. That's kind of the thing, because we only had 5 in Switzerland.
So it's just gonna be like first come, first serve. You sign up and then just kept it 64 again in the tournament.
Yeah, maybe.
Because actually I made it in last minutes.
I think they gave you a little bit of the champion bonus there.
Yeah. I thought for half a year that I signed up, but actually I didn't, and they didn't sign me up even as defending champion. Not anymore, sadly.
Yeah, next year you'll have to sign up earlier. Only Michi gets
special treatment.
Special treatment now. So what ended up being the meta at our Swiss Nats? Just to recap,
for the Swiss rounds.
Yeah. Well, for top 8, we ended up on 1 Prism, 1 Levia, 1 Dash, 1 Enigma,
2 Riptides.
2 Riptides, yes. Very interesting. 2 Riptides and a Victor. Yeah, 2 Riptides. That's kind of crazy. Why do you think that was? Were there a lot of Riptides at the event? I think there were at least 4 or 5.
I have to look at the...
I can't remember.
Yeah. But it's anything can happen. It's like always in Switzerland, like the 2 warriors I played against, they're just always...
Yeah, they're just like...
playing warrior. Since the game came out.
Yeah. In general, I feel like the Swiss meta is always... People like their comfort picks and people like disruption. Like, I think a lot of people would rather play a disruption heavy deck than play a super aggressive deck.
That's
and
true.
I think we saw that with how few Sens showed up.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at other national events where it's like, 20% of the field or something plays Zen, this was not at all the case in Switzerland. I think there were maybe 10 Zens or something. Yeah. It's still like a good amount, but there are also just as much news,
Yeah, especially the experienced players.
Yeah.
They have their main hero, their main decks they play. And
I mean, Michael on Dash, he's been playing Dash for forever and he plays it very well. Yeah.
And then new people come to the game. They pick up the current best deck. So I figured like most of the Zen players that played the tournament were actually not experienced players, so they also didn't get really far in the tournament.
Yeah.
You still have to get through the draft portion.
Yeah.
Your CC games are still not free, even if you play the best hero. You just get smacked if you don't know the game.
Or you're Hendrik and you come back to the game after a 3 months hiatus and just go 5-1 anyways.
Yeah.
From Zen.
Close one for him.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been absolutely crazy if he top 8'd after such a break. But yeah, congrats to him as well.
Doing great. Being daddy, playing Fab.
Yeah, definitely. Same with Kevin, actually. He didn't play that much either, and he went top 8.
I had to beat him twice to stop him.
Yeah, great performance in Riptide.
So we had into finals day, top 8.
So top 8 we saw as the first... The quarterfinals were Fadir on Victor versus Riptide.
No, versus Marco versus Levia.
Which Levia won. I think Fadir tested when they came back to the testing house after Swiss. Fadir immediately sat down the Talishar to test.
Midnight grinding Talishar, testing the matchup.
Testing the matchup. And then in the morning he got up and his conclusion was, it's just a dice roll. I have to win my clashes. Which I think is really funny that he put in so much prep and then it ended up just being like, well, I didn't.
But he didn't, yep.
So he lost that one. And then the second game was Fatigue Riptide versus Enigma, I believe, right? That was Nico against Enigma player, which Enigma ended up winning. Then Michael played...
Against Kano. We forgot about Kano.
We forgot about Kano,
yep.
That's true. Ralph did top 8 again.
Yeah.
On Kano, which I actually am a little surprised at... how few Kano showed up. I think it was only Rafi and
Bashir, right? The one to expect in the Swiss Nats.
Yes,
you can't bring anything that doesn't have matchup into Kano because you just have Bashir and Rafi and they're gonna make it.
They're always good and they're always there. That's true, but Dash has, I think, one of the best matchups, maybe besides Prism, into Kano. So
that actually was my thinking at the start when I picked Prism.
Yeah.
it's like, what are the best Swiss players gonna play?
Yeah.
And my thought was, you got some good canoes, let's just go for them.
That actually nudged me towards Dash as well. But that was cool because me and Mickey were talking all about the Kano matchup just the evening before, and he ended up taking it down. And then you played against Riptide as well, right? He played against Kevin.
Yep. I can talk a bit about that game.
Sure.
It was the best high roll I had in the tournament. I was on 20 life, and he was on 38 still, whatever. But I had one in Soul, Genesis in Arsenal, Tome in hand, Arclight Sentinel in hand, a card to pitch, and a Herald. So it's just like, okay, my turn. I'll go off.
Yeah. So you went off turn 1, basically.
No, turn 3. Turn 3. Yeah. I had one soul shield. I blocked with one soul shield. It went into soul. So 2 soul is like the minimum amount you have to go, because then you get the Erudition Herald, draw 2 cards because you attack with him. Then you play Tome. You draw 3 more cards. Then I drew into another Tome. Play that Tome. That Tome.
Yeah, prison turn.
Yeah, and then it was like, I have another Tome, and already with 5 or 6 cards or whatever in hand, like, I don't know what this hand does anymore. Let's just play another Tome and see where we go. Played another Tome. Second ALS, perfect. So yeah, played Genesis out, had Merciful out, 2 Pierce Reality out.
Yeah.
Just auras flooded the board. Had played 1 ALS at the end with all the auras. Put your ALS in Arsenal, passed back. He clears ALS, and then I just whatever. Yeah, just win from there.
Yeah.
Was great.
Moving on to semis, we had Michael against Enigma, and you played Marco. How did that game go?
So my only loss this tournament was against Marco in the last round, before going to top 8. So I was already scared because I knew his Levi deck is like full gas, all red pulpings, red wild rights, and all the other good cards you can play with Levi, the new one, which is insane. Yeah, now we start playing. I'll block some, I'll draw cards that don't block at all, so I'm forced into just playing my Merciful. I have 2 Merciful on board and everything. I'm on the defense, I'm getting super low. The last turn, like he attacked, I had to go off. I was able to play a Tome to get more defensive cards so I can block out his whatever 6 power attack or something like that. And with the Tome, everything perfectly lined up. I had perfect resources to put out Genesis, to get, after his combat chain, when he had no action points, to get the Herald of Erudition out, and to block to go to exactly 1 life. So I have 2 Mercifuls on board, I have Genesis on board, I have Herald of Erudition on board, everything set up. And next turn I have I can put a ALS into Arsenal. So for every other normal deck, I'm safe. I can play.
Yeah.
So with the double ALS, I'm safe from a 4. Like if he rolls a 3, I'm super good. If he rolls a 1, it's probably over for him. And I don't play Gamblers.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered because I used the new Stonewall gauntlets to block, so I can actually stay on 1 life. He rolls a dice, goes for a 6. And not even that. It's like, claw my ALS away, then play Out of War, go again to an attack phase, and clear Genesis as well. Some guys, no, that's brutal. Everything else, but not the 6 and a 6 with also an Out of War, and you just had everything. So
So you high rolled 1 game, and then you got high rolled the second game.
I would say I had a good roll there as well, but he just rolled the dice better there. Yeah. I draw some good cards, but he rolled some good dice and draw some good cards as well.
Yeah.
So there was a tournament over for me, but I'm super happy going to semifinals, playing with my buddies, and like I'm super happy that we had so many local people and just friends which came with us to the training camp.
No, it was
You need to
really a
wait.
great event. It really felt like just playing against friends like the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It was like kind of cool. You want to talk a little bit about the finals? I actually didn't watch that much of it. I just caught it on the tail end because I played the PTI.
So I watched it from Marco's side.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the stream yet, but I like always saw his hands and his cards. It was like a full brute mode, taking the risks, and I guess like at some point his taking the risk paid off. But the crucial part is when they were playing around 13 live, where it's like Carrion Husk is still there. I think Michael plays a high octane turn, or he even has induction chamber as well, playing the pistol.
Yeah,
and
it has started on chamber, which I think is correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
just playing around the 13 life there is so crucial.
It's kind of tricky because going into Levia, depending on the Levia player, sometimes they sideboard out their non-blocks. And then they can just fatigue you if you play full blue stash and you like aren't prepared for the.
Yeah.
I think like Brute has a lot of stuff that blocks. They have disruption. It can definitely happen that they just like fatigue you. So I think starting chamber is absolutely correct in that matchup.
So the match was kind of even.
Yeah.
For the starting point. But then Michael gained so much value there playing around the 13 live, Marco not getting the full value of the Carrion Husk block.
Full 6 value out of the max V block, right?
Yeah.
But then the max V didn't end up coming, but and he was already low enough that basically he had to decide if he wanted to block a pistol shot or if he wanted to keep it for a bigger attack later in the chain, right?
Yeah. I think Michael also had a big attack, but he just went for zipper hit for free.
Yeah.
and he knew like, oh, he has to carry in Husk now. He can just
because he had a zipper hit red and a zipper hit blue.
Yeah, just go for the blue one.
Yeah,
just annoy.
Just to reduce the value.
Yeah,
Marco gets from carrying us because he had to use it this turn. He was already lower than 13, so he was going to lose it at the end of the turn.
Yeah, well played, definitely.
Yeah, well played from both players.
Yeah,
because I think if you are more nervous, you might just block a pistol attack in the hopes to get 2 value out of it, and then he blocked the last attack, which was 3 value at least. So.
Still something.
Michael could have also played an item or something, and then he would have just had no value at all. So Marco.
That's true. That's
just what I was thinking. I was always a little afraid that it was going to get no value.
Yeah, I think it was like, oh, he could have like just used Carrion Husk 2 turns before or something like that, and just get safe value out of it.
But it's always easy when you know.
It's so
case he would use the Carrion Husk, but then get max V.
I think it's kind of crazy. Like at some point, I would like to get into that mode where I don't think like I'm not the player sitting there. Like if you just watch from the outside, even if you just only see his hand and not the opponent's one.
Yeah.
It's like if you're on the outside, you're like less stressed.
Yeah.
You see the lines way faster. But at least for me, it's like like I imagine like just getting to the mindset where it can be like only like third person view. You're playing there. Maybe that's something you can train, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then it was at that point they kind of the matchup turned a little bit. I think Marco was very much ahead at the start of the game. He got some good banishes with his attacks, and I think he was Michael like decided to block at one point, which I thought was like very interesting. And I think he realized that if he switches to a defense or a little bit more defense. Mm-hmm. Then Marco has to keep the pressure up because he's taking blood debt now, right? And he was past the point of being able to turn it off by a flip. What is it?
Plasma Fate.
Plasma Fate, yeah.
Yep.
So he knew Michael could like play a little bit slower and like block a little bit more, use all his cards to like maximum value, and played it very well in the end game. And then at the end, Marco missed on a banish, I believe, right? And he.
Yeah, I don't know what the effect was. I think did he have a blood rush below still? He had a card draw, and he had to get something that turns off
Right.
blood depth, but he didn't get it.
Something like that, yeah. He was, I think he was on 4 and he had too much blood depth.
Yeah.
And if he didn't draw anything that was going to turn it off.
Like, imagine like just getting 1 or 2 values out more of that Karen Husky would have survived there as well.
Yeah.
Maybe got another turn right.
Yeah.
So
no, but both players played the game like extremely well. Clearly, both the players knew the matchup very well, I feel like. So, congratulations to both of them. It was very entertaining to watch. It was a very welcome reprieve from watching Zvens hit each other. Nationals for sure. And that kind of brought the weekend to a conclusion. Me and Patrick played the PTI event, but we played Datadol and both went 0-2. Got absolutely
your best split stack. Let's go.
We're going to bring this off, and neither of us did anything kind of bad beats there. Bashti actually made it all the way to the final playing Emperor. And that final game was also against Levia, and he ended up losing against Levia. Levia and Blitz is kind of cracked, actually. The finals there was also quite interesting to watch. But Levia just does 15 damage every turn, and you only have...
Doing good stuff in CC, doing good stuff in Blitz.
It was very, very interesting.
So, do you want to talk about, like with the training camp, we mentioned everything, and being good now back to back each year into Swiss Nationals with our training team making it more than 50% of top 8 twice in a row.
Yeah.
Like, how do we prepare so well?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to Bashti's friendliness. He welcomes us every year to his house in Fribourg, and we just get to I actually think we profit from everyone playing different decks. And then just getting to prep all the matchups super well. I also think we all it's at least from the German speaking part, there's a lot of very good players, and we kind of get to profit from a little bit of knowledge from everyone as well, what the match, the meta will look like. Because when everyone puts their head to it, we were able to predict about 80% of decks that were.
Oh yeah, we did the meta predictions. And then there's the secret list.
Yeah, the secret list. And it ended up being quite accurate, actually. There were a couple of surprises, but I think on the large we were able to kind of say, this is the matchup we should prepare for. We knew that Zen wasn't going to be so dominant. There was probably more Zen that we originally expected even.
So I predicted that Marco would play Nu, which would be a way better matchup for him.
Yeah.
So I went wrong there and paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely paid for it, yeah. But yeah, I think also the draft portion went pretty good for most of our team. I think the Patrick and Bashti and me were all in the same pot. So I think I went 2-1, and I don't remember if I think Patrick also went 2-1 and Bashti went 1-2, something like that.
So you think it's preparing playing, or is it the food, is it the winner's wine?
No, realistically it is definitely the play, but mentally it's probably also helps. I think it just helps that you're surrounded by everyone thinking and talking about Flesh and Blood all the time.
That's the way you just get into
the zone for the actual day. It's so crazy how usually when we go to an event and we play, I'm always kind of nervous the day before and stuff, and this time almost none of that was the case. I went there and it just felt like playing more games against friends, because that's what I've been doing all weekend. And I was I kind of used way less brain power in the early rounds. Mm-hmm. So I was also tired way later in the event. Usually I tire out around round 4, 3. And this event I was still good until round 8 or something. It's also helps just playing a lot of Flesh and Blood 2 days before. Helps you playing a lot of Flesh and Blood on the day off.
While not getting fatigues, hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it made a very big difference for me personally, at least. I don't know how it was for you. Did you think you were better prepared last year than you were this year? Or
I was better prepared this year, and I think I also played more like in the training camp this year, because last year I had like this janky mid-range Briar deck. I played 1 or 2 games of it, but it worked out. But this year Prism was new for me as well. I played way more Briar than I did with Prism, and so I was happy to jam some games, even if it's losing against you dashes. But yeah, getting the Riptide match done and training against Enigma, getting struck each time, but ended up playing 2 yellow pummels because of Enigma matchups, because I just want to like push through the board and then disable them from building up more board state. So I thought like, oh, yellow pummel is great, and it actually helped me. I won as well because of a yellow pummel, I guess, into the Enigma game.
But that's also like during testing, I decided to play a signal jammer into the Azalea.
Oh yeah.
on Dash. And it ended up being so good both times I played him that I told Michael, you have to play like 1 signal jammer. It just bumps your Azalea matchup by like this and this much. And he was like, oh, I just took it out. I'm not sure. Sometimes it doesn't matter. And I was like, just play it. It's 1 sideboard slot. And he said it was absolutely insane when he played it against Manuel in the winning, I think.
Yep. And also at this point, thanks again to Peshti and Miga for letting us stay hosting. It's a crazy nice experience, and they doing so much for us, cooking. Sometimes it was like, you're sure I shouldn't help with the dishes? And Miga was like, nah, go play the draft, I'll handle it. And it's just like all around care packaging, and Beshti's cooking is so crazy good, you know?
Yeah. The goulash was absolutely one of the best things I've eaten in a very long time. It gave me the strength.
The strength of goulash.
The strength of goulash, and the winner's wine was great.
Yeah, everything's just perfect.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. I will remember it for a very long time.
Yeah, and hopefully next year we can do it again, and then in 2 years again. And
yeah, I'm definitely already looking forward to the next year. Yeah. Anything else you want to mention? You want to talk about Rosetta?
It's gonna be Earth Runeblade for me.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I saw.
Florian,
my boy.
Are you excited?
Yes, I'm excited.
Back in the mix.
I'm so excited for Earth Runeblade. Yeah, that's my jam. Hopefully it gets good, and it's gonna be. I mean, they have to be good. It's talented rune blades, talented wizards.
It was like, I actually kind of enjoyed the break from Runeblade, because when I started playing the game, everybody was playing Runeblade. It was Briar, it was Viserai, it was at the very early beginnings, it was even Chain for like a little bit. And it felt like LSS was printing more Rune Blades like every set that they were bringing out. But now it's been a while since we've seen a Rune Blade, especially also for Limited. I'm kind of excited to have something a little bit more spicy again, rather than like Warriors and Ninjas.
Yeah, that's why the Mystic set was so nice because of that. So many instant interactions and...
Yeah, part of Mr. like... pretty much a home run, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, how he hit us the last set, like every time it's totally good. Even Bright Lights.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun testing Bright Lights.
Bright Lights, but I think it was an interesting set at least. I wouldn't say it was maybe my favorite, but to draft, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Sealed was not that great.
It's the first time I had to really learn to stack cards under my deck and count my deck, because it's just like playing Dash.io, stacking boom grenades into overpower cards and stuff like that to get over the top. It was a great learning experience there.
No, I think part of Mr. like hit the balance really well between difficult enough to like kind of show why Flesh and Blood is unique. In the sense that, like, you know, the Transcend and the Chi and all of these cards that we haven't seen before that play completely differently to anything that we have seen before. Like all the hero having this like ability that that some cards in their deck activate that's unique to the Mystic talent was super cool. But then also it's still Flesh and Blood in the sense that it's also still a set about just putting together large combat chains and pushing damage, just like in every set, like playing just the right, like putting out damage is still good. Like that's one of the things that I feel like this is why Bright Lights was maybe not so well liked, because it was one of the sets where it felt like just putting damage was not enough.
Yeah.
You kind of had to do something extra. You had to either
That's true.
You were either on the fatigue plan by default, or you were on the item combo plan or something, but just presenting like 3 for 7 was not that great, right?
Yeah.
So I hope that the new set will be interesting, at least. I think it's definitely going to be interesting. What are your predictions for what the wizard abilities are going to be?
Oh, we're always speculating about the life gain card, right?
Yeah.
Right where it says like on the Earth Wizard.
Game on life, game on life, game on life.
Yes.
It has to be. So I feel like her hero ability has to be something with life gain.
Amp on life gain.
Amp on life gain.
On each life gain instance. So Sigil of Solace is only 1 amp, even if it's 3 life.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. Like each time you get life.
So you think that card is just game 3 life, amp 3?
Maybe. But amp 3 wasn't it blue?
Yeah, I think it was a blue card. I'm not 100% sure.
It's like everything like we speculate sounds like crazy.
Yeah, also the
insane amount of damage.
The new channel card that's like the
it's like
says amp 3.
It's not channel mount heroic where it buffs your attack powers, but it's amp 3 for the first
only
source.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
It's like Rune Chant for 4.
Yeah, Rune Chant for 4
or any spell.
Or any spell, yeah. I'm wondering if she has any ways of playing like wizard spells at instant speed, because that has always been a wizard thing, right?
Yes.
Playing spell at instant speed, not having go again on cards, but maybe we see something different this time. Maybe we see someone who just plays.
Maybe they have to go with the search ability to get go again and stuff like that, or play your next one as an instant, get over the top.
Wizards, the lightning wizard will be.
Isn't the lightning?
No, I don't think so. The hero ability we haven't seen yet. That was the light rune blade.
Ah, that's the light rune blade. Light rune blade. Yep. I didn't think too much about it.
Yeah, that I'm very interested to see, because I think it has the potential to be super broken, just on the fact that you get to play
go again on the next action
on action cards. Yeah,
light is always
an eloquence token.
Yeah,
which
so fast,
is super dangerous in right?
And then play Tome of Fame, like always. If you get action points, play Tome of Fame. Play Tome.
The classic Ralph, always play Tome on extra action points.
Oh, I'm more hyped, like, at the moment on the new Bolton set. Like, we're recording on Thursday, so tomorrow is the new Bolton's Armory deck is gonna be out. And then you have, like, the headpiece, where you can charge for free. You draw a card again. Yes. You could play by Stitch of Soul, and then you charge on defense, and then pitch a blue light, draw 3 cards, do, like, super wombo combo Bolton turns, or maybe go double toes.
Interesting to see if this kind of changes the format, in a sense that, like, Zen isn't able to do his stuff anymore, right? They also just banned blue and yellow bonds of ancestry for the ninjas. So maybe with Zen being a little less strong and Bolton being a little stronger, we will see some shifts in the meta. Do you think it will be better for the swords Bolton, or do you think it will be better for
the new stuff?
Yeah, do you think it's going to be Raiden Bolton, or do you think it's going to be combo Bolton? Like the new Bolton builds? Because I could see potential
both. Yeah. Like the headpiece, of course, is going to be good in both, because it's just free soul and free block and free soul. But it has more. It's more connected to the Raiden playstyle, where you can play the other, like the chest piece, where you get 1 extra prevention if you play it defensively. But then I think that's the only interaction. Like, okay, you have more value if you don't play courage for the saber combo. You can just play the other chest piece. So I would lean more into. So should we wrap it up? Okay,
Patrick, you want to do the outro?
Of course. So thanks for tuning in to this amazing episode.
and I think we want to have Michael on the podcast, having an interview with the Swiss national channel.
We're gonna try to set that up for next week, next podcast.
So stay tuned and see you.
See you next time.